It was a little bit, yeah. It was a little bit, maybe. We were sort of turning up to our pool games, and we're playing Romania or Georgia, or Argentina, for example. They all brought spectators, but the neutrals, now you could tell that it felt like we were playing 4 away games.
Yeah.
Heavy away
It
games.
almost does.
Yeah, it does. It does. But at the same time, that you appreciate that they're passionate for the sport, and the underdog, if that wasn't us in any of the games, does tend to pull in some support. But I think, there was that feeling that maybe, guys always like to see you go down sometimes when you come with a bit of a following, and the media interest in us, good or bad, it kind of, I guess it denotes a little bit of, or it implies certainly a kind of following and a misunderstood or a misrepresented kind of overconfidence that it's not in the squad, it's just that following. I think that people like to see that ship go down, which makes it interesting. But no, the Lions was definitely intense, but I think this was another step up. I was kicking on the morning, and then we went on a day out, and it wasn't until late in the day that someone said, a few of the guys had been out, and it was nothing big, it's kind of like,
in Queenstown.
I think it was in Queenstown, and you just say, well, that's what, like I said, I've been involved in 4 World Cups, and that's not unusual. It's not unusual after any game. It's like me when I was a lot younger, that was my life, going out there, clearing the cobwebs a bit so you can get on with the next game, and you can deal with all the stress that surrounds it. But it's then when then there's a kind of mention that the media are in need of talking about what happened, because there's been things brought forward by the press in this. There's been reports of this. There's been reports of this, and suddenly you realise that that we're into a new area now, a new sort of ballpark of things to deal with, which just get in the way. I feel disappointed for the guys, deeply disappointed for the guys, because it must be hugely tough to take. They're all good guys. I know Tin's better than the other guys, having spent so much time with him, and he's a great player and a great stalwart and a great sort of ambassador of English rugby, and has been over many, many years, and a great leader, and deserves all the praise that he's been given over his time. And in terms of what this does, it must be terribly tough to take. The strength that he showed on that tour, to be fair, to be under that kind of criticism or that kind of scrutiny for things that had happened, that was basically in his private life, but then to be able to carry that on one side and yet keep the other side clear, to give what he gave to the rugby and do what he does normally. There's not many in the squad that would have been strong enough to do that. And I think for him now, it's the profile that he's in with his life, and the way where it's gone off the field has meant that he's sort of had a lot to deal with, and he's a great guy, and I'm sure he'll come back from this exactly as you expect him to. I guess was a bit of confusion, if anything, that we were in that game and I was kicking and seeming to just get the same ball over and over again, and just happened to let loose my frustration when I was giving my tee back after one kick, which went through, but was started on one post and just crept inside the other post. And I think I turned around and just sort of said, I just keep getting the same ball and I can't control it. Can't control the same ball. The next, there was only one kick left after that. I arrived, picked up the ball, or took the ball that was given to me, and I think it was a different ball, but that's not unusual. We were playing with 8. Kicked it over and then heard about that. But like you said, the thing is also is that there were other situations in the tournament where guys score a try, throw the ball into the crowd, kick it over there. You say to the ball boy, I'll use that ball to kick because that one's over in the crowd somewhere. It's not the same ball, but they're all the same batch of balls. They're all World Cup balls. So I guess with that, maybe there was a feeling that you're kind of thinking, well, they're all just the balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so much the cricket feeling of, you're not tampering with the balls or anything like that. You're just more or less saying, kind of almost like if the ball was flat. If the ball was flat, you'd say to the ref, it's too flat. But when the ball's pumped up properly, but you want to say to him, look, this is, it's weighted somewhere on one side because it's doing this. But it was one kick and it obviously caused an uproar. Maybe there's a couple of things I think about. One is I wonder what life would have been like had I had I not gotten all the injuries between 2003 and 2007 stroke, and then with the one in 2008-9 as well, if I hadn't missed those four and a half years of rugby, I wonder where I'd just like to have seen maybe where that path was going, you know, without what that did to me. But then again, I mean that in a positive way. I'd like to look at it because some parts of me think, well, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am now. So, you know, I'd like to know where that path was going. It may have been different to this one. It would have been different to this one, but better or worse, I don't know. I just would have liked to have seen. And the other one is I'd like to have maybe seen what would happen if after 2003, if I had the strength to not hide away and actually face it. It wasn't part of my character, and it still probably isn't now. So it would have been tough to do, but I would have liked to have seen where life was going if I'd have actually fronted up and not hidden away. But then with the injuries as well, I guess that was all part of the same thing. Maybe the two are one big wish that, you know, that maybe it would have been nice to see if things hadn't panned out with the injuries and the, you know, and the kind of fame thing. It's a tough one. I'd maybe take, if I could take one thing, it would be the kind of the friendships and the camaraderie, but not necessarily in just saying I've made great friends, but in the things you've shared and how deep those friendships have gone on the basis of what you face on the field and how what that does to you when you're in that. I mean, I'm talking about sport here, so you know, in a comparative sense, it's not like war, it's not like those things. I'm not trying to say it is, but you do feel vulnerable when you're facing these big challenges. And to lean on people the way you do, it creates a bond that is special, and it's one of those that you can leave for years, and you meet someone and you know it's there. I appreciate that. And the other thing from personal, I think I've enjoyed taking the humility of the whole experience with me. You know, the humbling effect of this journey, being told that you're this, to being told that you're this, to being nothing, to being everything, to all of that. It's created for me an opportunity to finish at the end of it, hopefully, all being well, in one piece, and to be able to say that, yeah, I think I've come out of it fairly balanced. And if one thing, I'll always have my feet firmly on the ground.